Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! 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 Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and we're going to keep on pushing through this week of Christmas movies starring or featuring professional wrestlers. Today we're going to discuss Santa with Muscles, starring Hulk Hogan, Don Stark, Robin Curtis, Garrett Morris, Clint Howard, Steve Valentine, Ed Begley Jr., Adam Wiley, Aria Curzon, Mila Kunis, Ed Leslie, and Brenda Song. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, we're going to keep on pushing through this week of Christmas movies starring or featuring pro wrestlers, and we're going to discuss Hulk Hogan in Santa with Muscles. And our movie opens in the fictional town of Lakeville as a young orphan girl named Elizabeth writes a letter to Santa regarding Ebner Frost, who she feels is about to do something bad. Now, Ebner has been a bully to the people of Lakeville, driving them to move away, and he has also threatened to take away the orphanage where she currently lives. We are then introduced to Blake Thorne, a conceited, self-made millionaire who makes his living selling body supplements and equipment that bears his image. One day, while recklessly playing paintball, he is targeted and chased by the police. Now, the police chase Blake to the Lakeville Mall, where he proceeds to hide by disguising himself as Santa Claus. Now, the disguise works temporarily until the cops spot his camouflage underneath his Santa suit. Blake escapes into a garbage chute, but a bust of Santa knocks him on the head, causing him to fall down the chute. An elf named Lenny finds him and grabs his wallet, discovering a bunch of money which he proceeds to steal in order to pay a debt that he owes to Ebner Frost. However, Blake has suffered amnesia, and as a result of the conk on the head, Lenny leads him to believe that he is in fact the real Santa, sending him out to meet the local children. When some older kids attempt to rob a mall booth that is trying to raise funds for the orphanage, Blake jumps into action and recovers the funds. Blake then sees the sign advertising the orphanage, and he sets out to go there and help. Meanwhile, Dr. Blight and three other goons, all of whom work for Ebner Frost, go to the orphanage in order to harass Leslie Morgan, the lady in charge. Blake arrives just in time, and the kids rejoice, feeling that he is Santa come to save the day. Leslie invites Blake inside to have dinner, where he meets Elizabeth and some of the other children, Taylor and Sarah, as well as Clayton, the orphanage's maintenance man. Leslie tells Blake that Ebner has been buying all the businesses around the orphanage and that they are the last piece in the puzzle, but nobody knows why he wants to buy up the area. The next day, Blake gives an interview on the local news station, which Ebner sees and begins to feel like he knows the man behind the beard, a sentiment that Leslie had echoed the night before. Blake walks into the orphanage church and he finds Elizabeth singing a psalm that he appears to recognize, so he joins her in the psalm. That night, Dr. Blight and company come by the orphanage to harass Leslie once again, but Blake defends their honor. However, Taylor ends up going missing. Thinking he was kidnapped, Blake and Lenny go to Ebner's home, and they find Taylor while Blake discovers Ebner's map. causing him to wonder what is underneath the orphanage. When Blake returns, he inquires about what is underneath the orphanage and is told about a vault. Elizabeth, Leslie, and Taylor each know one of the numbers to the vault's combination, which causes Blake to recall the final number. Once inside, they discover glowing crystals that are worth a fortune. Blake starts to question Lenny once again about who he is, and Lenny gives him the camouflage outfit that he was wearing when he found him. Dr. Blight shows up at the orphanage that evening, only to end up fighting with Blake once again. Although he ends up defeating Dr. Blight, Blake ends up falling out of the window and he lands into the back of a trash truck, which causes him to regain his memory. He awakens in his own bed with no idea how he got there, but with full memories of his life prior to and memories of Leslie and the kids. On Christmas morning, Ebner and his henchmen arrive at the orphanage and they take the kids hostage with intentions of forcing the kids to mine the vault. Lenny calls Blake and he informs him of the situation, causing Blake to spring into action. He speeds to the orphanage, however, he ends up being chased by the police once again. After evading the police, Blake arrives back at the orphanage. The kids then realize that he is not Santa, as he has his true identity back. However, Elizabeth proclaims he is better than Santa. Once back at the orphanage, Clayton reminds Blake of who he really is. Blake grew up at the orphanage, and his best friend was Ebner Frost. Blake then confronts his old friend and discovers that Ebner has been jealous of him for quite a long time. You see, Blake got adopted. Ebner did not. So while Blake was off living the good life with his new rich parents, Ebner had to steal and struggle in order to survive. Blake admits that being Santa opened his eyes to a lot of things, and he did not like who he had become. The two former friends fight, but the crystals become combustible. They begin to explode as everyone rushes out of the catacombs to try and evade the inevitable explosion. Frost and his goons are arrested, but the orphanage is destroyed due to the overload of the crystals. So Blake opens up his mansion as a brand new home for the orphans as our movie comes to its close. See, here's the thing. When it comes to Hulk Hogan movies, you don't expect Oscar-worthy performances. You don't expect groundbreaking cinema. So you go into these things with very low expectations. Even going in with very low expectations, I have been told in the past that this movie is a complete crock of crap and isn't even worth the celluloid it was printed on. To those people that told me that, you are wrong. Now, is this a 5-star classic? Absolutely not. Is this even a 4-star must-watch? Nah. But this movie is so much better than people gave it credit for. And with that in mind, I have to say I honestly enjoyed this, especially when you look at the supporting cast. Okay? So alongside Hulk Hogan, you've got Garrett Morris, one of the original not ready for primetime players from Saturday Night Live. Coincidentally, in a superhero-themed sketch, the very first televised representation of Ant-Man was Garrett Morris. You had John Belushi in there as the Hulk, and I forget who some of the other regulars were portraying. But Garrett Morris was Ant-Man, the very first televised portrayal of the character. Then you've got Steve Valentine. I discovered and enjoyed the series Crossing Jordan through my daughter's mom, and Steve Valentine was one of the regular cast members on there. So getting to see him in this, being goofy and kind of villainy alongside Hulk Hogan, that was hilarious to me. He was Dr. Blight. Then you've got some of the people, you've got Clint Howard. You know, he's an icon in Hollywood, Ron Howard's little brother. And while Ron stepped behind the camera years ago, Clint still gets movie role after movie role because he is Clint Howard. He's related to Ron. So people always want him to be in a movie. He's kind of like Eric Roberts, where you see him in a ton of stuff, but very rarely is he the draw in the movie. He's usually got somebody else big time that is the star, but that doesn't mean his part is any less important. Then you've got some of the people that are like, before they make it big. You've got Brenda Song, London Tipton from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is in the movie. You've got Mila Kunis playing Sarah, one of the other orphanage children. You've got a brief appearance from Ed Begley, Hulk's longtime friend, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And then your lead villain is Ed Begley Jr., who is a huge star in the 80s and 90s. So for him to be the lead heavy, for him to be Ebner Frost, Blake's old friend grown up, that was great seeing Hogan and Begley get to work off each other. There's a lot more going for this movie than goes against this movie. And it's with that in mind. And again, I already told you this isn't a 5 or even a 4-star classic. But I'm going to give Santa with Muscles 3.5 out of 5 stars. What do you guys think of Santa with Muscles? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. But let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in at the top of the hour, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, as well as over on the Jeff Meacham Network, as it is time for the first of 4 Dads Not Always on Wrestling episodes this week, as Jeff and I come together with a cumulative list of our top 10 portrayals of Santa Claus. All performances from television and movies are up for grabs, so make sure you join us at the top of the hour and see who makes the list. And then tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, it'll be time for another edition of Renegades Reviews, and we'll take a look at another Christmas movie starring a professional wrestler. We're going to take a look at I Am Santa Claus, starring Mick Foley, Russell Spice, Jim Stevenson, Frank Pascuzzi, Bob Girardi, Rob Feigley, Jerry Lawler, Tommy Dreamer, and Brian the Blue Meanie Heffron. And then at the top of the following hour, it'll be time to open the doors once again for Stat Boys Sports Bar, featuring Dory Lou. Come on inside. The food is hot, the beer is ice cold, and the seats are warm. So pull up a bar stool and engage with Stat Boy Mike, Dory Lou, and the rest of his panel about the week in professional sports. You're not going to miss out on any of that right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, on the Jeff Meacham Network, Renegades Reviews, Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, Stat Boy Sports Bar, and so much more both this week and the rest of the month here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. So make sure you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure that notifications bell is turned on That way you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel or anytime we go live, as is the case with Open Mic Night, Statboy Sports Bar, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles, fans of Hulk Hogan, fans of Ed Begley Jr., fans of Garrett Morris, fans of Mila Kunis, fans of Brenda Song, anybody you can think of that would enjoy this video and my content, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can get monetized and begin to make money on this channel. Thank you once again for everybody who joined me and tuned in today. It means more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.